Hey guys, welcome back to Barry's Corner. It's Emily here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys all the books that I read in February. February was such a good reading month for me. I read 11 books in February. Usually I read about 5 or 6. I don't know what was in the air. Maybe it's my new schedule for this semester for college, but I had a lot of free time, and just not only did I read a lot of books, but I read a lot of quality books. So before we begin, please subscribe and comment down below what books you read in February. Now let's get on into the video. Also, I have to mention that this month, a lot of the books I read were for 2 specific videos, which is I read romance for a week and my boyfriend picks my books. So those videos I'm so excited to come out. So the specific books in those videos I won't be talking too much about. And the first one is Forever and Ever by Lucy Score. This is the first book that I read for the I read romance for a week video. And this book, honestly, I wasn't gonna get it, but I was in Target and I read the back where it says you don't fall for your brother's high school sweetheart, your boss's daughter, or your ex-wife's best friend, especially when they're all the same person. And guys, I was hooked. I read Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score, and I thought that one was okay. I gave it a 4 stars. I really enjoy Lucy Score's writing and how she makes you become attached to the main characters. And so I was like, you know what, I'll pick it up. The cover intrigued me. Of course, the back intrigued me as well. So once I actually got into this book, again, not going too in depth, I really enjoyed the main characters. And also, I like the plot of this book a lot more than I did than Things We Never Got Over. This follows Remy Ford and a guy named Brick Callan. By the way, Brick, why is his name Brick out of everything? What is like these one syllable main character words? Brick, Knox, like, can we stop with that? Anyway, Remy has had a crush on Brick for her entire life, but Brick has always been like, no, it's like kind of like an age gap romance a little bit. And she goes away, but she comes back because something is happening. She's running from something. And Brick, like, even though he wants to stay away from her, he's like, oh, but I have to protect her. It's like this urge in me that I have to do it. I have to be the one. And the mystery of why she's back in Mackinac, honestly, I think that was one of my favorite parts. Okay, there's a truck coming. Guys, I'm so sorry. My apartment complex, like, I swear, I have the thinnest walls in the world. Anyway, the mystery of why she came back to Mackinac, like, I really love that aspect. I think that was the best aspect of the book. I really liked how they connected. The one thing I didn't like, and I'll leave it at this, is that there was such a big miscommunication trope in this book, and I just don't like that trope. And Brick, I do like Knox from the last book. Not the last book, Things We Never Got Over, better than Brick. Brick was like fine. The miscommunication, annoying though. So I gave it 3.5 to 4 stars. The next book I read for that video was Final Offer, which is the last book in the Dreamland Billionaire series. And if you don't know what that series is about, it's about these 3 brothers, and they have a grandfather that died who was the owner of Dreamland, which is kind of like Disneyland in a sense. And he left them 3 equal parts of the company, but to get their shares, they have to complete this clause or condition that he set for each one of them. And so the last book, Final Offer, follows the last brother and his condition, which was to spend the summer at their family lake house that he spent when he was younger, and also to sell it at the end of the summer. However, he did not realize that his first love and former best friend, Alana, would be there, and also that she owned part of the house. And so he has to go through her. She doesn't want to sell the house. I loved this book. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Again, not going too in detail, but just I really feel like the author writes like golden retriever boys better than like broody bad boys. Also, we kind of already knew Cal, and just his personality, he already knew Alana, so there was a lot of iconic smooth I love you lines since he already knew that he loved her and she loved him from the beginning. But aside from Cal, Alana, she is my celebrity crush, bro. Like, I loved her as a main character. It's dual point of view. She's Hispanic, I'm Hispanic, so there was like these little sayings like sana sana colita de rana that like she would say, and I'd be like, oh, my childhood. She also has a daughter, so that was that kind of trope. I don't really usually like daughters or children in books, but I didn't mind it in this one. But I'm gonna leave the rest of my feelings for that video because I definitely want you guys to watch that one, but I did definitely like this book. 5 out of 5 stars. Last up for reading romance books for a week is Angelica Frankenstein Makes Her Match by Sally Thorne. This is the author that wrote The Hating Game and 99% Mine. And look, I was not gonna buy this book because like when I even read that she was gonna come out with this book, I was like, girl, what is Sally Thorne thinking? What is going on in her mind? But I bought it because I feel like there are certain authors like Tahira Mafi that I will always buy whatever book they come out with. And you know, Sally Thorne is just that author, you know? But once I started reading this book, I was very correct in saying that it was very weird, but I loved it so much. It basically follows the sister of Victor Frankenstein. If you've read Mary Shelley's, you know, Frankenstein, the classic, it kind of is based on that, and Angelica wants to make a human to be her love interest. And once he is formed, he actually just wants to find out about his past life. So she helps him try to find who he was. And so this book, I feel like you have to go in with an open mind and like knowing that it's going to be weird. It's going to be like this Tim Burton-esque. The humor is very dry, but I actually really enjoyed it. It was such a good time. The family aspect in this book was really nice. I feel like if you've read Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, like I have, you kind of hate Victor. You hate the brother for like leaving, you know, the monster out there. But I feel like you get like this really nice side of Victor and like a really just nice family aspect. But at the same time, it's just so weird. So I gave it like a 4.5 stars. It has such a great, fun, just lighthearted quality to it, but again, more thoughts in that video. Then I read some books for my English class, which I genuinely am really enjoying this class. I think it's one of the best English classes I've ever taken in my life. But the first book that we read, it's usually short stories, but this book was The House on Monco Street by Sandra Cisneros. And this book honestly was so beautiful. It follows a Mexican American and well, she's a little girl. So we're kind of seeing her grow up, like try to find this maturity. She's living in this like poorer community in Chicago, and it's like a house that she's sharing with other families, like on different levels in a sense, kind of like an apartment, but not really like condos in a sort. And the main theme of this novel is escapism and like trying to find your hopes and dreams and like escaping this life that everybody, or this cycle that has happened for generations. This book was just so good. 5 out of 5 stars. Esperanza, the main character, was such a treat to like see, and I felt so connected to her, again as a Hispanic, but also just as a girl trying to find maturity, trying to escape certain situations. The chapters in this book are also extremely short. Cisneros really wanted you to just be able to open the book and just be able to read it and understand it no matter where you are. And it was just so impactful. It felt very personal to the author, and it's just such a rare and beautiful thing so that you can allow so many people to relate and feel comfort in your novel, but also knowing that nobody else in the entire world could have written this book. So all in all, the book was 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. And then the next book that I read was actually Babylon Revisited by F. Scott Fitzgerald, which is the author of The Great Gatsby. And this is a short story where you can really tell how much F. Scott put into like himself into this character. It's about this father that he was an alcoholic and his wife died. And so his child is actually with the sister of his wife that died. And he's going back to show that he's a changed man, that he wants his daughter back. And just at this time, F. Scott was also like sobering up from his alcohol addiction and also was kind of going through it with his wife. And so it was really cool to just see the comparison between F. Scott and the main character. You felt a lot for this main character, but at the same time, you just felt pity and upset about him. And overall, the connection to the characters were just really strong. Like, I didn't expect to feel that. I've actually never read The Great Gatsby. Is that what it's called? Yes, I've never read that book, so I didn't really know what to expect. The writing was very crazy. It was good. I think I gave it 4.5. It's very hard to rate short stories. I gave it like a 4.5. And the last short story that I read was Where Are You Going? Where Have You Been? And this book was basically just about this little girl that was growing up. She didn't really get a lot of attention from her family. She had a kind of a horrible family life, so she started seeking it from older kids, and at the end, she kind of gets herself in a sticky situation where she may have been kidnapped. Just kind of like leads it up to the imagination at the end. This book I gave short story, I gave it 4 stars. I read it once in high school, once now. It really, with this English class, I feel like I'm thinking a lot more about everything that I'm reading, and it's like really fun for me. I mean, duh, and it's all fiction, so like I'm loving it. But just this one, I feel like it just made me think a little bit more. And I feel like the reason I gave it 4 stars was because the main character really annoyed me. And not that it's not realistic, because I feel like when I was younger, felt the exact same way. I was doing the exact same things, and I know so many other teenage girls are also doing the exact same thing. But I don't know. I enjoyed it. I don't want to read it again, and that's why it's a 4 stars. Then we're going into the books that I read for my video where my boyfriend picks my books. Again, I won't be going too in depth with these novels. Also, it's raining, so if you hear that in the background, it will just be like a little ambiance. But the first book that I read for that video is from Blood and Ash, and this book, honestly, my boyfriend got it for me for Christmas, and I wasn't gonna read it anytime soon because it's like a thick fantasy book, and you guys know fantasy really scares me. But honestly, I love this book so much. 5 out of 5 stars. It's basically about a girl named Poppy, and she's the chosen one. She's like the maiden where nobody can touch her, look at her, talk to her. She has these gifts where she can read people's emotions. And then her bodyguard, Victor, who's kind of like a father figure, is teaching her how to fight in the background. But then she gets a new bodyguard named Hawk. and he kind of like sparks this rebellious side in her to like not want to be the maiden anymore. There's many plot twists. The world building in this book is so cool. And this book, 5 out of 5 stars. Every little thing. Poppy is the main character, beautiful. She's so stunning. She's so selfless. She like is so badass. Like everything about her is just so strong yet soft at the same time. It's such a beautiful feeling to read a main character like that. Then we bring in Hawk, which didn't even, people told me this book was very like smutty and like that was the type of book this was. It is not. It was very much a slow burn until the end, and even then like the amount of care that Hawk had for her was so beautiful. And I actually read the second book, but I finished it on March 1st, so wait for my March March wrap up for that book. But that's all I'm gonna say. I really, out of both of the videos, the one where my boyfriend picks my books is my absolute favorite. So please watch that video when it comes out, please. Then he picked out Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. This is a thriller where it's about this girl named Laurel Mack, and 10 years ago, her daughter Ellie Mack got kidnapped. She just ran away. The police people are saying that she ran away, but Laurel thinks that she was kidnapped. And basically she starts dating this guy, and when she meets his daughter, the daughter Poppy, which is crazy that her name is Poppy and the girl in the last book's name is Poppy as well. The daughter Poppy looks exactly like Ellie, and she's like, this is so weird. And then some stuff starts unraveling about the missing daughter. This book was nothing like I expected. I think it's one of the best thriller novels I've ever read. Again, 5 stars for this book. Such a great reading month. I don't want to say too much, but I do think that the family aspect in this novel being so strong and really well done was something that I never really expected and never really knew that I wanted or needed, but I did and I got it. So it was really, really great. And also we get a lot of different perspectives in this novel. Ellie's and the bad guy, and also the mom. And so I know a lot of people don't really like multiple perspectives, but in this book it worked very, very well. And that's all I'm going to say. Watch that video, please. The last book I read for that video was All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. This is about a girl named Quinn and a guy named Graham, and it goes back and forth between then and now, and where they met each other and they became married and they fell in love, and now where their marriage is falling apart. They're struggling with infertility issues. In this book, I gave like a 3.5 stars, maybe a 4, I think it's like maybe a 3.75. This book was my most anticipated Colleen Hoover novel. I bought it, well, my boyfriend bought it for me, thank you, but I was so excited and I wanted to read it right away. And it just did not live up to the hype because it made me feel so many things. But there's a specific trope in this book that I really freaking hated. Like, I hate this trope, and I can't tell you because it's a spoiler. And that video also doesn't have spoilers, but you can just see how much like my heart sank to the bottom of my stomach when I found this trope. I love the main characters, I feel attached to them, but just their actions hurt me. That's all I'm gonna say. 3.5, 3.75. Now the second to last book that I read was I Am by Maggie O'Farrell. This is a memoir that I actually read in January, and I tabbed it, but I never finished it when I started college again. So I decided to finish it, and the last 2 to 3 chapters were really, really good. I really enjoyed this book. As I said, it's a memoir of Maggie O'Farrell, but unlike a regular memoir where it's very linear, it goes from childhood to present day, this one follows her 17 brushes with death that Maggie has had, and it basically kind of goes all over the place. Again, it doesn't start from childhood. Sometimes it'll start like when she's a teen, then go to childhood, and then go to present, like not present day, but like sometime in her future when she's older. And it is so well done. Her writing is so beautiful, so lyrical. It kind of feels like poetry in a sense. How she describes things is like, oh my gosh, like how does she do it? It's so beautiful. I cannot tell you enough how much her writing just strikes a chord with you. It's just so beautiful. And also it's really easy to get into if you're new to nonfiction or you're new to memoirs, because every single chapter is short, but it's also its own little story. So just like The House on Mongo Street, you can open it up and you don't really need to know anything beforehand. It's kind of like its own little story. And this book just so good. I think it's the best memoir I've read, maybe? I think so. It was just very accessible. It was very simple and like nice to read, easy to read. So yeah, read it. Then the last book that I read in February was Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. This book, I know everybody's surprised. Me and fantasy, it's just not like me. But honestly, I've been in my little fantasy mood. I've been loving fantasy recently. And I actually was never, ever in my life gonna pick up Throne of Glass. I read ACOTAR, but this is a 8-book series. Girly, I don't have time for that, but apparently I do because I bought it. I was swayed. This follows a girl named Selena Sardokian, and she is an assassin, but she was captured, and now she has to fight, I think it's like 24 men to gain her freedom and then become like the king's helper, but she hates the king, but she wants her freedom. There's a prince, and then there's a guard, both of them kind of annoying to her. Both of them don't really trust her, but then it kind of forms a love triangle type situation. This book, I gave a 4 stars. I think it was okay. It was very young. It was very young, okay? It's just, Selena is the only character in here that I actually felt attached to. I didn't feel too attached to the prince or too attached to the guard. Also, I just didn't like the romance aspect. Like, I did. I enjoyed seeing it, like the flirtiness and like how much they start to like her. But like, I feel like we're grasping for a lot of things and nothing gets done. Nothing gets reached at all relationship-wise. But Sarah J. Maas, she really makes you like Selena. She makes you see how strong and amazing she is and how selfless she is. She will literally put herself before anybody else. And I think that's such a great trait. You just don't expect to have this softness with this really strong character. And I guess that's like the main character trope of every single main character in any fantasy book. But I really just liked it. I really like that trope, and I think that's why I'm in my fantasy era. But yeah, I think 4 stars maybe. But yeah, those are all the books that I read in February. Let me know what books you read in February. I really want to know, okay? Because I feel like a lot of people had a really good reading month this month. But aside from that, I'll let you guys go. Have a good day. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.